Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. So let's get into it, all right? So for the past couple of weeks, the internet has just been going back and forth about Jay-Z and Verzuz and who could beat Jay-Z in the Verzuz and why Jay-Z can't be beat in the Verzuz or why Jay-Z could definitely be beat in the Verzuz. And I wasn't even going to touch it because at first it was just kind of weird to me how the debate started, but I'm here now, and I'm going to break it down because there's some context. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to break it all down. I'm going to tell you what I think and why and how this Jay debate is pointless because Jay is never doing a versus. All right, so I need y'all to like. I need y'all to subscribe. I need y'all to comment. I need y'all to share. I need y'all to do all of that. I need y'all to turn your notifications on too. We trying to grow this channel. We trying to blow it up. I read all of your comments, man, and y'all tell me how much y'all feel like that y'all just enjoy the content. So please subscribe, please continue supporting it. I might do a whole other segment on videos, maybe where I just read your comments from the previous video. I'm gonna see if I get that together. Just bear with me. But this all started a couple of weeks back, right? Verzuz made its return to Complex Con. It was Cash Money versus No Limit. The show was fun. Verzuz had been on hiatus for a long time, for years. And it was fun just to see it. Juvie and Fresh were great. It was great to see Juvenile and Fresh. It was dope to see BG up there just having the time, man. Mia X held it down. Also, rest in peace to Young Bleed from No Limit. Tragic, he passed away this week. So we send our condolences and our prayers to his family, friends, collaborators, man. Rest in peace to Young Bleed. But it was dope. It was dope to see Snoop pop out, obviously to see P and Silk, despite, or the jokes that everybody has or opinions on Silk. A little disappointed that Wayne didn't show up, but is what it is. Overall, it was a fun time. It gave us a good reason to reminisce on Cash Money and No Limit and the records that we love. So folks were hyped from the Verzuz, and folks were trying to manufacture or theorize on the next one. It's a great topic, right? You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, this Hove quote started floating around with Hove saying no one could see him in the Verzuz. And all of these social media accounts dropped the quote like it just came out of the sky. And my whole thing that I do with this channel, and y'all know I try to give information and context to where, like, Hove didn't just say that yesterday. How do I know? Hove actually said that quote in 2021 because it was in an interview with me. I'm going to play the audio for you. I'm going to play like a long clip of the audio for you. But Hove had that conversation with me on Twitter Spaces. I had asked Hove the question about Verzuz. It was a conversation that Alicia Keys' team had hit me up, and Alicia herself personally called me and asked me to do this Twitter Spaces with her. And the special guest, it was to celebrate the release of her Keys album. So she was, Alicia's team called, and Alicia called me and was like, yo, or Alicia's team called me and said, yo, we want you to do this Twitter Spaces with Alicia. Can you do it? Alicia's one of my favorite artists. I said, of course, Alicia Keys. Like, I love Alicia Keys, absolutely. Then I get a call from Alicia Keys herself because they told me Alicia Keys and the special guest, and I was like, maybe it's Swizz, maybe it's Mike Will Made It because Mike produced on that album. I was just, it was Alicia Keys, so it was a yes for me. She could have been up there with anybody. It was gonna be yes. And then Alicia called me and was like, yo, you know who the special guest is, right? And I was like, I didn't even really put no mind to it. I figured, it was Swizz. And she was like, no, my husband is special. My husband is indeed very special, but it's Hove. Are you down for that? And I'm like, oh, what? Like, this is crazy. Here's an even funnier story. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but here's a funnier story just to give you some behind the scenes. When Alicia called me, it was like the day before the Verzuz, the day before the Twitter Spaces, and was like, nah, it's going to be Hove. I'm in the barbershop getting my hair cut. I have hair under here. I get haircuts. I just wear a hat all the time. But I was in the barbershop getting a cut. This is a Twitter Spaces thing. So Alicia called me. She's like, yo, what's up? What you doing? I was like, oh, I'm in the barber. We got that thing tomorrow. I'm getting a cut in the shop. So she starts laughing. She's like, it's Twitter Spaces. Nobody can see you, right? So I laugh, of course. But, men know this. You get a haircut, you feel good. So that's the backstory. So she said, like, yo, Hove was going to join us. I'm like, of course. So, we're talking and a big part of that conversation was about, Alicia being independent now, and you know she got the support from Rock Nation, but you know it was just a dope conversation, man, and Hove was a part of it. But towards the end, you know, again, this is 2021, so verses is still a big thing in the culture. We had seen the Dipset versus Locks. And so towards the end, I asked Hove about his favorite verses. I'm just gonna play the clip. This is a long clip. There's chapters in here, so you could skip ahead. But I figured y'all want to hear this because I figured I don't know if a ton of this is on the internet. So and you'll hear also pardon because I didn't screen record the thing and I should have. But what I did was I put a recorder next to me, or I recorded it through GarageBand, so you could hear my voice very loud and clear because I'm near the mic, and then Jay and Alicia's voices are coming through the phone. You can still hear it; it's still crystal clear. But if you like, damn, Rob sound louder than Jay and Alicia, that's what it was. But here, I'll play this clip for you. Hove, what's your favorite verses so far? I know you be tuned in. You got to be tuned in.
Yeah, I've caught a couple of verses. I think that yeah, it's tough for me to pick a favorite verse. What I love, I will say this. You know what I love about verses is it reminds people um of you know, artist catalog. You know, if you see Keith Sweat up in it, you're like, man, that man got a lot of joints, and you know the Isley. I like it from that um point of view versus, you know, who won and lost at the moment. I love the idea of being able to, you know, give people their flowers and allow people to be recognized for what they've done. Because you know, we're all prisoners of now, right? Everything is now. We're listening in real time. So you know, you create a song right now, you be like, I'm the best person, and I created this and I created that. A lot of times, I hear artists saying they create things that I've seen 30 years before. And, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yeah, I get it because, you know, based on the information that we have currently and the scope that we're looking at things, you know, yeah, you think that's the best, but these Isley songs, these guys was playing songs that they made in the 60s. These guys made songs in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So when we're saying all-time greatest groups, they're not included, but shit, you listen to some of the writing that Ronald Isley and those boys was doing, please listen to right after we get off this. Like, just scroll down. The first 5 songs on their catalog is some of the best writing you've ever heard. You know, Stevie Wonder, one of the greatest writers of all times. You know, when we're talking about that, his name may not come up because it's not of the time right now. And that's what I love about this. I know that's not the answer that people want to hear. I want to hear, I love when Jada Kiss was spitting them, who shot, and even that, think about that. That who shot for freestyle was so old. But I mean, old and relatively. But people really thought that was a new freestyle, that he did it that night. But with Dipset, that's just, you know, that's just. Yeah, because people need to be reminded all the time. And that's just, you know, we live in the now. And when people remind you how great they are, you know, because before that, you would think Jadakiss, I don't know if he's been considered one of the greatest performers of all time. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure he's known for his performance, but he reminded you that performance ain't singing and dancing and jumping around all the time. Sometimes it's just the way you command the stage. I would say that's one of the best performances of the year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all agree that that's one of the best performances of the year. But we wouldn't necessarily say Jadakiss is a great performer. And it just reminds you of the greatness of folks. So I love to see him get his flowers. I love to see how Ronald Isley reminded people of how great he was. And, you know, even Jonte Austin, you look at him, you're like, man, he wrote that and he wrote that. Yeah. Like, you didn't think he had a chance versus Neo. Neo got slaps for days. Like, Neo at one time was controlling pop radio. There was no one on the planet that could touch his pen, period. Yeah. And I know that's another controversial statement, but at one point in time, Neo, every single joint he wrote was going number one. From Mario to Rihanna joint to his own joint to Britney to, you know, Irreplaceable. Anything that man was penning was guaranteed number one. You didn't think Jonte stood a chance. And then you realize, like, oh, it's not about number one records. Like, he just put on a Chris Brown joint. It's on and popping. And everybody was like, oh, that's that
Right. Word.
You know, like, you could have played Old Boy. Old Boy is a smash. And we gotta recognize it as a smash. But when Jadakiss did freestyle, it was like, it's going to be hard to beat that.
It was just a moment.
But you wouldn't say that coming in. You wouldn't say that coming into the battle or the verses or whatever we calling it. You wouldn't say that coming into it. I think that was a long answer to say that. I just love that people get to remind people of, you know, of their greatness.
Okay, so boom. Hov kept saying flowers, like, you know, it's good to see artists get their flowers. And so I did my journalist thing and used his words to set up my next question. Here you go.
Alicia, when are we gonna be able to give Hov his flowers on a versus stage? Can we?
Man, ain't nobody can stand on that stage with me. I ain't gonna lie, no disrespect. Everyone's amazing and done what they done. No one can stand on that stage with me. I'm just telling you guys the real. Like, there's not a shot. There's not a chance in hell that anyone can stand on that stage with me for, I don't know how long it is, 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours.
Right.
Look,
and
I gotta
stand in front of the Grammy family freestyle live. No one's ever even seen me perform that. Like, you gotta stand in front of that. That ain't gonna never happen, man. Let's move on from verses and let's get back to this Keys album.
But first, before we move on from verses, we definitely have to give my husband his flowers for being the genius innovator that he is and being able to actually give a platform to so many people that get ignored or forgotten. And exactly what you said, because you get to be put back on to the greatness of people, which is the theme of what we're talking about here. It's like really, really recognizing people's specialness, you know what I mean, that they've been able to contribute for all of us to enjoy, to learn from, to sample from, to create new things from. So definitely first of all, we give Jay all his flowers every day,
for sure,
because you deserve all of that.
No, but it was a beautiful thing. Sure. It really is. It truly is like one of the great inventions of, you know, when you look at, like, man, like the idea to be able to celebrate people in that form is just really genius. So shout out to Tim and Swiss and Tim as well for something that they created. It's really a beautiful thing that they created.
And just
so there it is. So that's like, there was a whole conversation. Maybe one day I'll put up the whole audio and kind of talk about it. I want to kind of revisit it and see what's up. But that's Hov's. That's the whole conversation that happened that night around versus. I just like to put things in context. That's all. Like, people are seeing this conversation and being like, why is this happening? I have some insight on what the original quote was. You know what I'm saying? What the original conversation was. So now it's all in context. So the truth as I see it, and I haven't spoken to Hov about verses since that day. Like, you know, that hadn't come up in the conversation. So this is just my takeaway from being in that conversation with him and Alicia Keys. Hov isn't doing a verses, right? I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. And he has his reasons, I'm sure. But if you think about verses, and this is no shot to the team behind there, because I have fun with No Limit and Cash Money, I believe we've seen the peak of verses, and I would love to be wrong. I would love to see a new iteration. I do not like to count anyone out, but there has been over 40 verses already, right? And we've seen the iteration of it starting on Instagram Live with two people connecting with each other with bad internet, you know what I'm saying? Like the Keith Sweat episode and stuff like that, to where it is on stage now. It's more of a performance, right? But there's been over 40 verses. Hov ain't coming to be the 41st verses at this stage in his career, right? And then after it's been in hiatus for so long. So it's just not happening. I think most people understand that. And I think Jay, if we're being honest about Jay, and this goes to his branding, picks and chooses his spots. I mean, as he should. I don't fault him for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Jay is just not gonna pop up everywhere with everybody doing everything that everybody else does. That's just a choice, right? And a lot of celebrities make that choice. Hey, where I show up adds value to it or adds a story to it, and you know, I think the mystique of Jay-Z, to keep the greatness of it, you know, he doesn't show up with everybody. I may personally live my life different, like, you know what I'm saying? But you know, it doesn't mean that he's not hip hop, doesn't mean that he doesn't support hip hop. It just means he picks and chooses his spots. And that is a reality that he deals with and have to contend with. And I say I may live my life different, but I'm not Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do a versus right away. Oh, hell yeah. But A, I could use the money. B, I could use the publicity. Like, C, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jay doesn't necessarily need all those things, so his reality is different. So I say all that to say that. So his answer to me was more just of a cool way to deflect it, but you know, because he's not gonna be like, man, I'm not gonna do a versus. Like 40 people done it before me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's not that. And I think it was a cool way to deflect it, but I also think he fully believes that no one can stand on that stage with him. I believe that he believes that. Why wouldn't he believe that? Why would anyone who is great and considers himself the greatest or in that upper echelon believe that they're second best? Why would you state that publicly? Drake wouldn't believe that anyone can stand on that stage with him. I think I'm theorizing. I don't like to put I'd imagine Drake wouldn't believe. I'd imagine Kendrick wouldn't believe that anybody could stand on that stage with him. I'd imagine Wayne wouldn't believe that or shouldn't believe that. At least I imagine Kanye wouldn't. And I use those names specifically, right? Because I'm just using the names that I've seen thrown out there on social media about who could face Jay in the verses. But all of those guys play to be the best, Jay included. So, you know, I think we all know it ain't happening, right? And the internet just wants to have fun with it, and that's okay. That I mean, that's what we doing here, man. We talk shit, we theorize, the fan matchups. It's all fun. Now, if Jay ever did it, and here's the hypothetical, he isn't, but if he ever did, who do I think would be the best matchup? Because the format is 20 records versus 20 records, but we aren't in the pandemic anymore. So we're not scoring record for record the same way that we used to. When all we had was IG and a split screen, and it's like you play a joint, then he plays a joint, then you play a joint, and he play, and you did the scorecard, and shout out to Stephen Hill and Steve Hammond. They used to do the after show, and you kind of score it. That was fun, but that was for that format. As we came out of the pandemic, and it was more, you know, versus on the stage. It's more about showmanship. It's more about presentation. It's about storytelling. It's about reminding us of greatness. I think that was what was great about the Lox and Dipset is we saw the unexpected on that show. We saw Jada do a Who Shot Your freestyle that most people didn't know and came from a mixtape, but it felt like very spontaneous. You know, we seen the camaraderie of the Lox on full display on that stage, and we've seen the disarray of Dipset on display in that stage too. Both parts of their stories, both part of their legacies, both groups are great. But that story played out on stage, and it was compelling to watch. So now that Versus hit the stage, it's all about showmanship, presentation. It's about storytelling. It's about reminding us of greatness. Like Jay said, it's not even about the 20 records versus the 20 records anymore. People don't even remember as much as, you know, before when it was just IG split. You could be like, yo, he played this song, and he played this song, and he played this song, and you can remember that. Now, once we got into the stage era of Versus, you more so remember the moments than song for song. You know what I'm saying? Because there's more to pay attention to. There's more to take in. There's more to judge it on. So let's take Jay versus Drake record for record. How do you judge that really? They're two different artists who reigned in two different eras. you know, if you're from the 90s and early 2000s, those Jay songs will resonate differently. Like Hard Knock Life comes on and it's gonna hit you different than somebody who's younger, or even even a Can I Live? Like he does Can I Live, and it's gonna hit you, which wasn't a huge single, by the way, but if you're from the 90s, like it's just gonna hit you in a certain way, where if you were born 2008, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, and you're a younger fan, you could be like, oh yeah, that's that Jay song that is great, that everybody loves. Yeah, it's a great song, but it ain't fucking with this God's Plan or something, you know, like whatever you match it up with, right? Like it just resonates different. So, you know, I think if you go song for song, just Jay and Drake is hard to judge. It's kind of pointless because we're, as a culture, are not going to be able to get on the same page about it. What made Lox and Dipset really dope is that we all saw it, and no matter who's your favorite, we're able to get on the same page about it. Okay, we saw what happened. This is what happened. We're not going to get on the same page as on Jay versus Drake. And then I don't believe that there's a compelling story to tell there. I don't think there's a very compelling story. It's just going to be fan bases arguing with fan bases. And if we learn anything from the last year of Kendrick versus Drake, that's not really fun anymore. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that. Similar with Kendrick, Jay versus Kendrick, different styles of music. You know, two absolute greats on stage, two greatest of all time contenders. Like Kendrick is in that conversation. So from the aspect of you just see two greats on stage, that's always exciting, but it's two different styles of music and it doesn't tell a compelling story, right? Same thing with Drake also. You know, two greats on stage. If it was unclear that I was getting at that, because I could see the comments now, why did you say da-da-da? This isn't that. Same thing with Drake. Jay and Drake, two greats on stage. There is something compelling in that, but there's not a super compelling story or connection outside of that. Similar thing with Kendrick. Same thing with Wayne. Different styles. Like even the way they're both amazing lyricists. Jay and Wayne, two amazing lyricists, two influential lyricists, influenced generations of MCs, two greats. Again, in that great conversation, Wayne has a more like free associative style to the way he rhymes. Like one line doesn't necessarily have to do with the next line, but Wayne is gonna hit you with line after line after line, and there's a greatness in that. And Jay is more lyrical and stream of conscious, where he's telling a story or he's getting a complete thought out in a verse, and that first line might tie to the last line in the verse. And two different approaches, two greats, but it's two different styles of music. And to me, Wayne and Jay does not tell a compelling story. So it's cool, but you're just going to get out there and argue, and it's going to be over preference. You're just going to root for the artist that you like. Dope thing about No Limit and Cash Money was that there's a story there. There's a real history there. It's New Orleans. It's both started independently. It's the connections that some of the artists have with each other because they're from the same hoods. It's the competitive nature that they had when they was going record for record, when they were actually out. And it's the fact that we don't see them together. You don't see Birdman and Master P on the same stage. So it's a compelling story there because there's real history. I think Kanye and Jay would have, again, I think they have drastically different catalogs, especially how Ye has evolved musically around Yeezus and beyond. But there's a real life relationship, Big Brother. That's a compelling story. That's a compelling story. The things that they've said about each other, mostly from Ye's side to Jay, like the memories that we have of them together, the throne, not seeing them, that there is obviously a fracture in that relationship. And then seeing them back on stage together, though they have different musical styles, especially Yeezus On, that's compelling. I would want to see that. You would want to see that. You know, I think it'll be hard to judge. I think it'll be tough. I think it'll be tough to beat Kanye. Because also like songs that he's produced for other people, like Kanye wasn't just giving you like features, it was also songs he produced for other people. I think Kanye and Jay is compelling. Jay referenced the Grammy family freestyle in the clip and the talk I had. Like, what are you gonna do against the Grammy family freestyle? Like, Ye did the original Grammy family. The original Grammy family is Ye. So compelling. Like, in a fantasy world, I would love to see it, and there's a compelling story. The one that I want to see, again, hypothetically, if you ask me, is Jay and Nas. Jay and Nas is the one I want to see. I think it's a compelling story. They started in the same era, and have continually evolved since then, and are still relevant now. There are still two artists that we talk about now amongst the greats. In a world where we have lost Big and Pac so early in their career, we still have a Nas and a Jay. I think it's amazing, and it's something to be celebrated because Big and Pac is supposed to be here too. But again, just how they started in that same era and how they continually just evolved since then. They had an actual battle, of course, that we still speak about. It's almost 25 years. And next year is going to be 25 years since Takeover and Ether. So it's a battle that we still talk about in reference 25 years later. And in the modern day, they've both grown to show how rappers can truly mature in this game. And what, growing older in hip hop and reaching veteran status in hip hop, I think they give you younger artists something to aspire to. Look at what Jay is doing in business and the music careers that he's helped launch. Look at what Nas is doing in business too. Nas is just a lot more quiet about his moves, but Nas is a beast business-wise. And what he's doing with Mass Appeal and what he's doing with the Paid in Full Foundation, giving support to veteran hip-hop artists, like they are both in beautiful spaces in this stage in their career. I would love to see them on stage together again. We can argue about song for song all day, because that's fun. But the truly compelling part to me is the story. So to me, Nas and Jay makes the most sense. Or Nas and Jay is the one that at least I would like to see. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad at Kanye and Jay either. I think that's must-see TV. That's shut shit down. That's one for the ages. And it's gonna make us feel something real, not just Ye's my favorite rapper, so he won, or Jay is my favorite rapper, so he won. There's going to be a bit of that with everything, but then I think there's something real compelling to tell on that stage. But it's all just fantasy. It's never going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not. Jay told you, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. This is all just fun and games, and those are my thoughts. So let me know what you think. Hit me in the comments, and we'll talk about it. All right? Peace.